Welcome to my guide for change management for remote teams. So what happened is last week I had this conversation with my friend and she said it is just not possible that us change managers or project managers work remotely. And I was a bit surprised by that, given that probably about 80 to 90% of my work is nowadays happening remotely. And even if I think back to my earlier career or any of the projects that I've worked on the last, 10 plus years, the proportion of remote work was always quite high. So what I mean by that is like I've worked in maybe physical offices, but then had the majority of my team all across Europe or different countries or different cities, or I would work in the corporate offices here in Perth and then have like different parts of my teams on different sites. And the other thing that also often happened was that I was working with people that were on different rosters or different shifts to myself. So I would never really quite see them face to face, but I would have to hand over between me flying out for my recovery R&R or them flying in. So if I reflect back to over my career, I have an incredible amount of experience and knowledge in what it means to work efficiently and productively and successfully with virtual and remote team members or teams. And in this video today, I want to share with you my 5 tips that help me to be as or even more productive and successful working with other team members that are virtual. In fact, our business has a predominant virtual and remote work setup, and there are some people in my team that I have never met face to face, but I would trust them with any of my work and even trust them with any of my personal quirks as well, and we are working together almost like being able to complete each other's sentences and definitely able to complete each other's work. So first and foremost, I think it is really important that when you work remotely or when you set up a virtual team, that you have very clear communicated expectations. So what that means is like, don't let other people assume or guess what is expected of them. If you can't see how they work, you probably want to make sure these are some of the things that I expect from you. For example, I might say, I don't really care if you work 9 to 5, but I care that when I give you a task and you say this is going to take me 2-3 hours, that I do get an update after 2-3 hours and I will be informed before you delay why there will be a delay. So proactive collaborative approach is something that is really important to me. So that would be something that I would clearly point out when I hire someone or when we have a team meeting as well or a performance review. And these things are also documented in writing. So expectations shouldn't just be communicated verbally, but also be communicated in writing. And that brings me to the second point, which is clear communication. So if you sit next to someone, you might be able to overhear or guess by their nonverbal clues what you're supposed to do. But when you're in a virtual setting, it is really important that communications is done clearly and effectively as well. And you should be using structured channels that support your virtual work environment. So for us and a team, it actually means that we use MS Teams a lot, because it allows us to have different channels for different conversations, a little bit of a social channel as well, and it integrates really well with Trello or Atlassian's products as well, which we use to manage the communications and documentations around separate tasks and separate projects as well. So we do then put our communications clearly on each of the relevant channels or tasks that we're working on, and we make sure that the information that we give each other is also understood. One of the things I actually love lots about working virtually or remotely is that a lot of the meetings are nowadays on Teams, and it allows me to easily look at the transcript or even a video recording as well, which then makes sure that communications are a little bit more effective, because I can rewatch something and I can document something really well that I probably would have not been able to do if I was face to face in a meeting room with someone and there was a lot of casual chatting around. Information might have been lost. And that again segues into my third tip, and that is to document everything. Now, when you work together in one office, or when you walk past someone's desk, you might see that there's progress made on the task. When you work virtually, those little cues are not available to you. So therefore, I often say document everything. Even if you haven't reached your final conclusion, let's say of a research or some problem solving, you should add some updates to your Trello cards or wherever you store your information with the task. If you have an Office 365, you might even have comments in your documents. And all these collaboration softwares actually allow us quite easily to document our thought process as we move along. So, for example, I might go in after an hour or two into a Trello card and just inform my team that I spent a non-conclusive research hour on this, and there are a couple of different options that I'm considering, but I haven't really found a conclusion yet or made a decision yet as to how we move ahead. And this just makes sure that information is not lost, but also another person can progress with the task seamlessly without having to chase me up for updates and figuring out how far I've gotten with a particular task. That also means that not only we want to proactively document what we're doing, we also want to make sure we check in with our team regularly. So particularly as a change manager, we don't have the ability to overhear water cooler talks or being able to kind of sense check how a change has landed. So there's an increased effort that we need to do in order to check in with people on a regular basis. This might be once a day, or it might be once a week, or it might even be twice a day or something like that, depending on the momentum that you're having in your change management or project management efforts. And a couple of check-ins that I find very helpful for this is a 15-minute stand-up where you just get together and you do a quick round robin in terms of like, what are some of the things that have happened since or have been progressing since the last catch-up? What are some of the things people are focused on today? And are there any roadblocks or any concerns or questions that we want to bring to the wider team where people can help each other out to overcome these hurdles together, or just have to be aware of them as well. And then last but not least, as a change manager, as a project manager, our stakeholder engagement isn't just formalized, it's also those informal conversations, the water cooler talks, and you have to create those virtually as well. So a couple of tools that I like to use when I work virtual is having some kind of communication channels, whether that's team channels or other chats as well, it might be Slack, where people can have more social conversations as well. So not to kind of write those off as non-performing, not busy work, but just to say these are actually important relationship building methods that we have, these casual conversations. And you can do those either written through the chatting or through your channels, but it could be also verbal, so you can get together in playful sessions, Q&As or lunch and learns or meetups or team meetings, or even like knowledge shares. We like to do that once a month where we get together as a team and there's a rotating kind of chair who is sharing some of their tools, their latest things that they've learned on the job, or even maybe a book that they've read, and that could be interesting, beneficial or quirky for other people to learn from as well. And that's another opportunity for us to learn from each other, get to know each other, but also ask some questions and just socialize in a more informal way as well. So I hope you like those 5 tips, and just remember, clear expectations, clear communication, always document everything, make sure you check in regular, and also have some social virtual water cooler talks, and you will be way ahead in like working with virtual and remote teams as well. Even if you find it challenging at first, you might actually see some of the benefits that I have come to like as well in virtual teams. If you like this particular video, you might want to head over to our website www.approach-services.com. We've got a whole academy that teaches you change management, project management, and also change leadership skills, templates, and tricks. If you like this, you might like one of those courses as well. Otherwise, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.